In this lesson, we're talking about mortgages. A mortgage is an example of an annuity, and in the case of a mortgage, the present value is the amount borrowed to purchase the home, and the loan is secured by the value of the real estate property, which basically means that if you don't pay your if you don't make your mortgage payments, then the bank will take your house away in order to recover the money that they've lost. So that's what it means when it says that the loan is secured by the value of the real estate property. Some other definitions you need to be familiar with then are listed here. Collateral is what asset or assets you use to guarantee the repayment of debt. In the case of a mortgage, it would be the property itself. So other times when you take out a loan, you need some sort of collateral, which would be something else you own that the bank could take from you should you not pay your loan back. A down payment is a certain percent of the purchase price that you are required to give as a deposit at the start of a mortgage. The mortgage term is the length of the mortgage agreement. So, for example, it would be the length of time for which a certain interest rate would be fixed on your mortgage. So, typically, a mortgage will take anywhere from 15 to 25 years to pay back. However, the terms of that mortgage are negotiated several times throughout that full amortization period. So say every 5 to 7 years, you would go in and renegotiate the terms of your mortgage. So that's what we mean by the mortgage term. As I was saying, then the amortization period is the length of time needed to eliminate the whole mortgage, so how long it will take you to pay it off. There are different types of mortgages. A variable rate mortgage is where the interest rate fluctuates with the prime interest rate, which is set by the Bank of Canada. And a fixed rate mortgage is, as it sounds, a mortgage with a constant fixed interest rate. And the last definition you have there is for equity. You've probably heard that term before when people talk about the equity in their home, or maybe you haven't. But the equity is your financial gain. So it would be the value of your home minus any amount that you still owe on the mortgage. So basically it's what you would take with you if you were to sell your house before your mortgage is paid off. Next here in your lesson, you have some common ways to save interest on a mortgage. First one is shortening the payment period. So typically mortgage payments are made monthly, but if you make payments more frequently, say every other week, that will reduce the amount of interest that you pay in the end. Making a lump sum payment. So in addition to your regular payments, making a lump sum payment reduces the outstanding principal, which is what you owe, and therefore reduces the interest paid for the remainder of the mortgage. And the third way we've listed there is shortening the amortization period. So when you borrow money for less time, obviously less interest will be owed in the end. But what of course you have to weigh out there is if you're going to pay it back over a shorter period of time, then your payments will also be greater. Okay, let's look at an example here. It says Kara recently bought her first home for $255,000. As a first-time home buyer, she can make a 5% down payment on the house and take out a mortgage for the remaining balance. Her mortgage broker found a bank offering an annual interest rate of 5.49% for a 5-year fixed-rate mortgage based on an amortization period of 25 years. Calculate the down payment and the amount to be mortgaged. Okay, so there's a lot of numbers there that we have to sort through. It says, as a first-time home buyer, Kara has the option to make a 5% down payment. So normally you would have to make more. So we could find out how much that would be if the price of the home is $255,000. Then if we multiply that by 5% or 0.05, we can find her down payment, which would be $12,750. Okay, so it says calculate the down payment and the amount to be mortgaged. So everything else would be mortgaged. In other words, everything besides the down payment. So her mortgage amount would be $255,000 minus $12,750. So the amount that she's actually going to borrow in her mortgage is $242,250. $250. Now it says use a TVM solver to determine the monthly payment. So you'll need to have the graphing calculator handy. So within the TVM solver then, as before, N is your number of payments. So if she's going to pay this off over 25 years and making monthly payments, that would be 300 payments altogether. The interest rate is 5.49%. Now the present value would be the amount she's actually borrowing, so not including the down payment. So that would be your amount here from A. So the present value of the mortgage would be $242,250. And the future value, so at the end of the 25 years, she'll owe nothing. Payments per year, she's paying monthly, so that would be 12. Now, something new here for compounding periods per year. Canadian mortgages are always, the interest is always compounded semi-annually, meaning twice a year. So we need to make a note here that the compounding periods, as if you're talking about a mortgage, okay, that will always be 2 for Canadian mortgages. So your number of payments per year will change depending on your payment schedule, but the compounding periods per year will always be 2. It's always compounded semi-annually. Okay. So then back up to payment and press alpha enter. And when you do that, I believe the monthly payment comes up as $1,477.26. Now it says calculate the total principal paid in 5 years. Now there's a new function that I'm going to show you on your calculator called the principal function. So you're going to press, first of all here, let's write some steps down so you can refer back to this. First of all, press second mode on the calculator to quit the TVM solver. Okay, so that'll get you out of there. And then, however, make sure you leave your values entered within the TVM solver because the calculator will actually access that information that you've entered. So you need to leave the information in that you had entered in Part B. But you quit the application, okay, and then press Apps 1, and I believe it's option 0. It should say Principal beside it, PRN. And then that comes up on your screen and you have to enter 1,60 bracket to complete the bracket. So in other words, on your calculator screen, you will see the sum of the principal from the first month to the 60th month. Now, I should have said it's 60 months because it's 5 years. And we're converting that into months. Okay, in particular because we're making monthly payments. And then you press enter, and it should tell you that the principal paid is $26,225.49. I believe that number comes up as a negative, just ignore that. Okay, so that's the principal that you've paid back, meaning the actual part of the house that you've paid down. Now, a lot of what you'd paid back in the first 5 years is interest. So, in Part D, it says calculate the total interest paid. There is a similar application for that on your calculator. So, this time you're going to press Apps. Now, if you were within the TVM solver, once again, you would press second mode to get out of there. But you're going to press apps 1 again, and this time you're going to scroll down to the interest option, which I believe is option A. Looks like this anyways. And then press enter. And once again, you're going to have to enter 1, 60 for 60 months, as in how much interest did we pay from the first month to the 60th month. So on your screen, you should see the sum of the interest from the first month to the 60th month. And when you press enter, it comes up as $62,410.32. So in the first 5 years, you've paid just over $60,000 in interest and just over $25,000 in principal. So what happens is you make the same payment every month, but out of your first payment, the vast majority of what you're paying back is actually interest, and very little of it is principal. By the last payment in your mortgage, so 25 years later, your last payment would be basically entirely principal. But in the very beginning, it's mostly interest that you're paying back. And of course, the bank does that purposely because they want to recover their money first before they worry too much about you. So, Part E says calculate the approximate value of Kara's house after 5 years if it has an appreciation rate of 5% per year. So all the while that you're paying down your mortgage, your house is increasing in value, of course, because of inflation, among other things. So this would be an exponential function because it's increasing by a fixed percentage every year, by 5% per year. So this is an example of exponential growth, we'll say. So remember, your formula will have, the form y equals a bracket 1 plus r to the x. So in our case, our initial value was $255,000. That's what our house was worth initially. And it's increasing at a rate of 5%. So we'll replace r with 0.05. And we want to find the value after 5 years. So then you just type that into your regular calculator, and you find that her house has increased in value to $325,451.80 after 5 years. Okay, we have another example to go through here, but I'm not sure that I'll get through that in the next 2 minutes, which is what I would have to do in order to fit it onto this video. So at this point, I'm going to have you switch over to the second video for this lesson.